The Galactic Council chambers echoed with chittering laughter as Ambassador Zexthol projected the holographic display of humanity's latest colonial expansion. Tiny dots of light scattered across the outer rim territories, each one representing a human settlement barely large enough to house a few thousand souls. "Look at these pathetic outposts," wheezed the Krillian delegate, his crystalline form vibrating with amusement. "They call these colonies? My people's mining stations house more workers than their entire frontier settlements." The Vorthak representative, a hulking mass of tentacles and contempt, gestured dismissively at the display. 17 systems claimed, yet none supporting more than 5,000 inhabitants. The humans scatter like seeds in a barren field, too weak to establish proper civilizations. Zexthol, the Altarian Council moderator, allowed the mockery to continue for several minutes before calling for order. His forearms moved in practiced diplomatic gestures as he addressed the assembly. "While humanity's expansion methods are unconventional, the Galactic Colonization Accords clearly state, accords that were written when civilizations actually built proper colonies," interrupted the hegemony's war minister, General Korth. His scarred carapace gleamed under the chamber's lights. "These humans violate the spirit of expansion. They squat on valuable worlds like parasites, contributing nothing to galactic commerce or culture." The criticism wasn't entirely unfounded. Human colonies were indeed small, cramped settlements built around mining operations, research stations, or agricultural communes. Unlike the massive city ships and planetary metropolises of other species, human outposts seemed almost primitive by galactic standards. What the Council failed to understand was that size had never been humanity's strength. 3 months later, that misunderstanding would prove catastrophic. The incident began on Kepler 442c, a windswept world on the galaxy's edge where 4,000 humans had established New Aberdeen, a mining colony extracting rare Earth elements from the planet's crust. The settlement consisted of prefabricated domes, atmospheric processors, and a small spaceport that could barely accommodate bulk freighters. General Korth's forces arrived expecting minimal resistance. The hegemony's Third Fleet, consisting of 12 dreadnoughts and 40 escort vessels, should have been overwhelming overkill against what intelligence reports described as a collection of industrial shacks defended by civilian security forces. The first sign that something was wrong came when the fleet's advanced scouts failed to report back. Commander Sarah Chen watched the tactical display from New Aberdeen's hastily constructed command center, her weathered face illuminated by the soft glow of holographic projections. At 53, she had spent most of her adult life on the frontier, transforming from a marine biologist into something far more dangerous, a human who understood that survival demanded adaptation. "Ma'am, they're deploying landing craft," reported Lieutenant Torres, his fingers dancing across sensor controls. "Looks like they're planning a ground assault." Chen nodded, unsurprised. The hegemony's military doctrine favored overwhelming force applied directly. It was efficient, brutal, and had conquered 17 civilizations across 4 centuries. But it had one critical weakness: it assumed the enemy would fight conventionally. Humans had stopped fighting conventionally around the time they learned to sharpen sticks. "Phase 1 is go," Chen announced into her comm unit. "All stations begin harassment protocols." Across New Aberdeen, 4,000 colonists transformed into something the galaxy had never seen before, an entire population weaponized by necessity and unified by purpose. The miners who had spent years boring through solid rock turned their industrial equipment into improvised artillery. The atmospheric technicians who understood every molecule of the planet's hostile environment began releasing carefully calculated gas combinations into the upper atmosphere. And in the darkness between the stars, the real surprise began to unfold. The hegemony had mocked humanity's small colonies without asking a crucial question. If humans could barely sustain 5,000 people per world, why had they claimed so many worlds? The answer lay in the silence that greeted Korth's distress signals. Dr. Elizabeth Morrison had spent 12 years on Proxima Station, a research outpost so remote that supply ships arrived only twice annually. Her team of 300 scientists had ostensibly been studying exotic matter fluctuations near the system's pulsar. In reality, they had been perfecting humanity's greatest strategic weapon: patience. When New Aberdeen's emergency beacon activated, Morrison's team implemented protocols they had drilled for over a decade. The exotic matter research wasn't theoretical. It was applied physics designed to create localized space-time distortions. What the galaxy saw as a tiny research station was actually a weapons platform capable of generating gravitational anomalies that could tear apart dreadnoughts. Across 17 systems, similar revelations unfolded simultaneously. The agricultural commune on Wolf 359b revealed hidden manufacturing facilities capable of producing swarm drones by the millions. The struggling mining operation on Gliese, 667cc deployed electromagnetic pulse weapons that could disable entire fleets. Every tiny, mocked human outpost revealed itself to be a specialized component in humanity's most ambitious military strategy: distributed warfare on a galactic scale. General Korth realized the truth too late, as his flagship's hull began buckling under gravitational stresses that shouldn't have existed. These weren't scattered settlements, they were nodes in a vast defensive network. Each colony had spent years preparing for exactly this scenario, turning their apparent weakness into devastating strength. The war lasted 6 hours. When the last hegemony vessel either surrendered or fled, Commander Chen stood in New Aberdeen's observation dome, watching cleanup crews salvage wreckage that would fund their expansion for decades. Her colonists had already returned to their daily routines, mining, farming, researching, living, as if defeating a galactic superpower had been just another day at the office. The Galactic Council's emergency session convened within hours, but the damage was irreversible. 17 separate human colonies had demonstrated coordination and military capability that defied every assumption about their species. Worse, intelligence reports suggested this was merely a fraction of humanity's true defensive network. Ambassador Zexthul addressed the stunned assembly with newfound respect in his voice. It appears we may have misunderstood humanity's colonial strategy. The understatement of the millennium hung in the air like a challenge. Scattered across hundreds of systems, thousands of small human settlements continued their quiet work, each one now revealed as part of something far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. A species that had learned to turn isolation into strength, numbers into strategy, and mockery into miscalculation. The galaxy would never make that mistake again.